Have you ever looked back at something you desperately wanted and whispered, "Thank God that didn't work out"? What if that closed door wasn't failure but a form of divine protection steering you from something you weren't ready to survive? Sometimes, what feels like rejection is just the universe whispering, "Not this. I've got something better." Welcome to Stoic Blend, where ancient wisdom meets modern life. Today, we'll explore 4 powerful signs you're being protected from hidden danger 7 if you don't realize it yet. There are moments in life when the world seems to turn against you. You lose a job you loved. The person you thought was the one walks away. Your plans fall apart overnight. And in that storm of confusion, we ask the same question. Why is this happening to me? But what if the better question is, what am I being protected from? This isn't wishful thinking. It's Stoic clarity. Because true protection rarely comes wrapped in comfort. Sometimes, it comes disguised as pain. Let's begin. Sign 1. When what you chased with your whole heart suddenly slips away. You gave your best. You sacrificed. You wanted it so badly, you could taste it. But instead of success, you watched it disappear without warning, without closure. That job you almost landed? The relationship you thought would last forever? Gone. Most people call this failure. But the wise know better. It's redirection. Steve Jobs, for example, was fired from Apple, the very company he founded. It devastated him. But he later said it was the best thing that ever happened to him. Why? Because it freed him to explore new creative paths that led to Pixar, Next, and eventually, his triumphant return to Apple. Seneca wrote, "A setback has often cleared the way for greater fortune." When life takes something you thought was good, it might be sparing you from something that would have silently corrupted your soul. That relationship? Maybe it would have drained your peace. That job? Perhaps it would have caged your potential. You weren't rejected. You were rerouted toward clarity, solitude, and unshakable strength. Sign 2. When you stop reacting and start observing. Think of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison. During that time, he had every reason to grow bitter, to rage, but he didn't. He transformed silence into strength, resentment into resolve. By the time he emerged, he wasn't just free, he was untouchable. This is the essence of Stoicism. Epictetus wrote, "When someone irritates you, it is not their action, but your judgment that disturbs you." When you stop reacting, no angry tweets, no emotional outbursts, and instead observe, something shifts. That's when protection begins. You're no longer pulled by insults, manipulation, or games. You don't need to respond. You simply rise above it all. This stillness you now hold? That's not passive. That's power. Because the day you stop letting others control your emotions is the day you reclaim your freedom. And once you've mastered your inner world, the outer world loses its grip. Sign 3. When you're forced to walk alone, but feel no fear. Picture J.K. Rowling, a single mother, living on welfare, rejected by multiple publishers, alone, exhausted, barely holding on. But she used that solitude, not to wallow but to write. And from that sacred silence came Harry Potter, a story that would change the world. When people distance themselves, when doors close, when the applause fades, that's not abandonment, that's purification. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Solitude forces you to confront your own essence. No masks, no distractions. And in that quiet space, something extraordinary happens. You stop chasing approval. You stop fearing silence. You become untouchable. You realize, I don't need the crowd to validate my path. I am the path. That's not loneliness. That's protection in disguise. Sometimes the higher power removes the noise, so you can finally hear your own voice. Sign 4. When you lose what you thought you couldn't live without, and breathe easier. Let me tell you a story about Michael Jordan. In high school, he was cut from the varsity basketball team. It crushed him. But instead of giving up, he worked harder. That loss became the fuel that turned him into a legend. Sometimes, life rips something from your hands: a job, a dream, a relationship. You fight. You grieve. You beg. But then, the strange thing happens. Peace. No celebration. No fireworks. Just stillness. You realize what you lost was never truly yours. It was borrowed, temporary, meant to teach, not to stay. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." True bravery is letting go even when your fingers bleed from the grip. So if life removes something you were clinging to, and you suddenly feel lighter, that wasn't loss. That was protection. The kind that steps in when you don't yet have the strength to walk away. The kind that gently redirects you before the storm destroys you. So, if these signs echoed something inside you, don't ignore it. Don't brush it off. Subscribe. Stay close. And walk this path with us. Because in a noisy world that feeds on chaos and weakness, we choose silence. We choose strength. We choose the storm within. This isn't just a video. It's a reminder. You are not alone in this journey. Until next time, stay sharp.